The Clarks Creek watershed is an approximately 13 square mile section of the larger Puyallup River watershed, containing Clarks Creek and its tributaries. Dairu, Rhodey, Woodland, Meeker, and Clarks Creek flow to the Puyallup River and eventually to the Puget Sound. These are important salmon-bearing streams in the Puget Sound for several salmonid species, including Chinook, coho, pink, chum, steelhead, cutthroat, and bull trout. Clarks Creek is an urban stream that provides a significant riparian habitat corridor for wildlife. It also provides people with a connection to a natural environment and recreational opportunities. A riparian zone is the area of land next to a water body. A healthy riparian zone is beneficial to water quality by supporting diverse plant communities that cool the water by shading it, provides habitat, shelter, and food for wildlife, and acts as a filter for sediment and polluted runoff. These healthy riparian zones also enhance the urban aesthetic and provide recreational areas. As the Puyallup Valley has developed, the riparian zone along Clarks Creek and its tributaries has decreased. Areas of the creek have been rerouted and channelized. Native plant cover has diminished and erosion has increased sedimentation of the creek beds. The state has identified Clarks Creek and Meeker Creek as impaired water bodies. The water is getting too warm for salmon, has too much sediment due to erosion, and levels of fecal coliform bacteria are too high, which can cause illness in humans. Washington State University Puyallup Research and Extension Center, with funding provided by the Washington State Department of Ecology for the Clarks Creek Water Quality Science and Restoration Program, has developed a framework for actions to improve water quality and to preserve this urban riparian area. This framework empowers the community with knowledge and hands-on experience through implementing a restoration project at DeCoursey Pond. This restoration process included creating a community group, partnering with community organizations, soliciting community input, and coordinating the restoration with community members. A team of community stakeholders provided expertise and assistance with all of the stages of the riparian restoration at DeCoursey Pond. This included restoration strategy and planning, design and permitting, planting, and maintenance. WSU Puyallup created a restoration plan for several severely degraded areas along a diversion of Clarks Creek known as DeCoursey Pond. First, the areas were evaluated. Then logs were used to secure and protect the bank from erosion. The logs were wedged between the existing rocks or trees along the pond's edge, staked on each side, and secured to prevent the logs from rising during water level changes. A natural fiber fabric was attached to the land side of the log, and a layer of gravel was placed over the fiber to prevent the washout of new soil and plantings. The volunteers then backfilled the bank areas behind the logs with soil for planting. The volunteers were instructed on proper planting techniques for the bare root, potted, and live stake native plants. Once the planting was complete, mulch was spread around the plantings to retain moisture and reduce invasive weed growth. To protect the native plantings, volunteers installed 2 rows of construction fencing. 1 row was installed at the water's edge to prevent ducks from trampling the plants, and a second row was installed at the edge of the park path to prevent people from walking into the newly planted area. Volunteer stewards organize invasive weed removal and report any damage they find, such as storm-damaged trees, to the city of Puyallup. The work done by volunteers, project partners, and Washington State University will help Clarks Creek once again to provide critical habitat for wildlife. DeCourseyPark will continue to be a place for recreation and a connection to the natural environment. To get more information on restoration project implementation or water quality, please visit the Washington State University Puyallup website. This project is a success due to community involvement and support from our project partners.